Hi everyone, this is Erwan. I'm a specialist of Smode Tech, and today I will explain you a bit further the different rules about the thematics of the Monday challenge of this week. So the thematics of this week is live event, and it has been made in partnerships with Smode. So I'm going to explain a bit what is Smode. You have to imagine that Smode is a combination of two different tools. There is the media server tools, something very used in live event for broadcasting video stream, for broadcasting media in correct screen at the correct time with the correct interactivity. But it's also a real-time compositing software, and that is the second part of the software that is interesting us for this week, because we are going to go a bit further in the content creation process for live event. So I'm going to explain you how to work with Smode, but you have to know that if you do not want to create media with Smode because it's a new tool, you do not have to do it directly on Smode. You can just pass by After Effects. But if ever you have made your content with Smode for this challenge, do not hesitate to put the hashtag made with Smode on your post, so we can know if you are one of the bravest contestants of this week. So let's go. Here, if you go on the website of Smode, you can download the free version of the software. So the website is smode.io, and if you go on product, you have the free version of Smode called Smode Community. So you can go on it, and here, press download. You can pick the versions you want here. So I'm going to work with the latest version, so the 10th version. It only exists on Windows. So sorry for the Apple users, but it's only on Windows. So you download this exe file, you install it, and after that, you can start Smode Community. This is the main interface of Smode. We have decided of a specific template with the Monday challenge, you know, the two different hexagons, and we will see a bit what those hexagons represent in our software. I have also started to create an entire project, so an entire stage pre-visualizations that you can use during your work. In order to have an idea of what your content can do on a real stage. So yeah, let's start. Here I open the project. So let me just go back in my state of origins. Let's remove a bit everything. Yeah, perfect. This is the interface of Smode. So here you have a first category. It's the tab, the tab files. You can retrieve all the media you want to import in your new composition. In this folder, so you have a folder here called the Smode files. That is an automatically created folders that is being created in your documents. Directly at the installation of Smode. So if you want to work on the project I will provide you after that, you simply have to copy and paste the project files in the Smode files, and you will retrieve it here. So you can just double click in order to open like I have made. Then this is the files, and here we have a first window called the viewport, allowing you to visualize a bit what you want in your project. So I am currently looking at an object called the content map. I will explain you after what is a content map. But I can visualize something else. For example, if I click on this drop-down list, I can visualize an object called the stage. And here is my stage. So I have the visualizations of my entire stage, you know, with the artist at the middle and some dancer on the left and on the right. Then you can also have access to something called the simulation. It's a very specific object. I won't explain it in details during this video, but it allows you to go in the simulation with all the light and also other compositing inside of it. If I go in my content, if I go in my content map here, and here, here I have the layers. So if I want to customize something in my layers, I can also select this window. So here I am visualizing the content map object, and I can access to the layer of the content map. Let me just uncheck this option. So you see, I have a look at the template of this week. I have two different objects. I will explain this a bit in details after. Just to mention that these objects can be retrieved in my stage. So this is what I have. And also in my simulations, I see it a bit here. So I have imagined that this represents LED screens with very specific shape, but it's LED screens. And we are going to create content for this canvas, so for these screens of this concept. So if I go in my content map here, I can create content for this specific canvas. So if I want to start off to create some visuals, I can go here instead of being on the layer content map, being in the layer of the show. It's in this object that you are going to create the layers, just like in an After Effects, Cinema 4D, Photoshop. Just like those kind of software, you will create layers for each object you want to create. So, for example, if you want to broadcast a JPEG pictures, so I have one in example here in the texture folder of the standard pack. Let's say this one. I can drag and drop this layer in my show. And you see, this is broadcasting directly on the content map. So it's gonna be broadcast in my stage, and I will have a look at what happened on the simulation. I can be more comfortable in my layout of working. If I go on this option on the viewport, I can split my viewport in vertical. So here I have my simulation processor, and here I can visualize the content map. So I have a look on the different part of my process. First, I have my media. The media are broadcasting in my content map, and then I see the simulation here. So as I said, it's layer based, meaning that you can create any layers you want, or as layers as you want. So I can have another pictures, let's say this one, and I can import it. The first things you need to know is that the order of the layers is reversed comparing to After Effects or Photoshop, meaning that the one that is at the bottom of the list is displayed at the top of my viewport. In Smode, you have to know that those layers represent instructions. The instructions transmit to the GPU. So you need to know that these pictures will be calculated first, and then this one. So that's why the pictures is displayed at the top of the others. Also, here you see you have the targeting, the target of the layers. Here I can change the target of the Mona Lisa pictures and pass from content map to an object called the content area. And this give me this ID, so this visual, meaning that these layers is going to on the hexagon of the center of the template. Why? Because I have decided that I had a sub targeting areas in the layer of my content map. You see, my content map is this square, the entire square, and I have created a sub areas here. So let's just put this in black, and you see the content areas is defined to target only the hexagon at the center. Then we can start to create some content and some animation. So you can create in your show different type of layer. In my case, I have only 2 pictures, but you can also import videos. So if you want to import files that are on another folder than the Smode files, so for example, in my case, I have something on my downloads. Here's the example folder. So example folder containing MP4 video. It means that if I want to use this video, then I have first to import the folder containing it. So I can drag and drop it, press OK, and that's it. But MP4 codec is not well played by Smode. So you have to transcode it in another codec. If you want to do this, you can right-click over this video, pick transcode, choose the codec HAP, and press OK. Then here, you just have to wait that the transcode is gonna be finished. And it will automatically create you an HAP folder containing the transcoded video here. And then you can import it. Your video is imported. Then you can animate it. So as you see, I can create layer, but layer out of a concept of timeline. So I can create timelines. I can create timelines on the show. This is a first object when I can create timelines. So let's create one. It is displayed here. And if I want to have something animated, then I have to drag and drop these layers. So my video is now animated through the timeline. If I press play, then it's okay. My video is correctly played. So you see, there is no many difference with After Effects or any other kind of software. The concept of timeline still exists. So let's imagine that I want to have my Mona Lisa going on at 5 seconds, and I go at 5 seconds here, drag and drop it, and that's it. Okay. If I want to animate parameters, for example, if I want to have my my Mona Lisa pictures rotating through this timeline, then I have to select the parameter of rotation. The parameter of rotation, in my case here, is here in renderer option. So you see this this window is very important because it is updated each time I select a layers, and it displays the different parameters accessible for this layer. For example, if I select the video, I have the parameter of the transport of the video. If I select the JPEG or PNG file, then the parameter accessible is only the file. But you have other parameters, the renderer, when you can retrieve the parameter of rotation, scale, position. Anyway, if I want to animate this parameter, I drag and drop it in the timeline. And then it's very simple. I create keys and that's it. You can also smooth your keys here. So you can select the keys and change the interpolator to something is, let's say, exponential, and up. Okay. That's the very, very basics of animation in Smode. So you can animate a bit any kind of parameters that are accessible here. If you want to modify the files, you drag and drop the files. If you want to modify the scales, you drag and drop the scales in the timeline. You can create new layers that are not connected to files. So in my example, I have 2 pictures that represent the files and a video that represent the files, but there is also generic and procedural layers directly creatable in Smode. So if you right click on the show here, you can select here in 2D layers a lot of different a lot of different layers. For example, the very first one, uniform here, is only a uniform of color. And then here you can, in the generator option, you can change the color of the uniform. If you want to have the uniform going to the content areas, so the middle, so you just change its target here. And then it's the same. If you want to modify the color through the timelines, you drag and drop the colors here. You create a key here and another one here. And okay, that's it. If you make this window a bit larger, you see that there is some blending mode accessible for each layer. So if I want to have my uniform as color in another blending mode, I can select this, the blending mode I want. So let's have an overlay. Yeah, okay. So now my uniform is in overlay with the other layers calculated before it. One layer that you can create is a compose. A compose is a 2D layers, but it allows you to create other type of layers in it. Because if you right-click over a compose, then you have, of course, the possibility to create 2D layers, but also shape layers, so meaning that you want to work with Bezier point or primitives in 2D, text layers, or 3D layers. So, for example, if I want to create a 3D layers, let's create a torus. Yeah. So this is a torus has been created in the composition. Let's just visualize it a bit better. So I'm going to change this window with a viewport, and this viewport. So let's pin this. This viewport is going to have a look at my composition. So this is my composition. In my compositions, I can create a camera. So let's create a camera. I can move the camera. I press Alt and I play with the wheel of my mouse in order to increase. So I can be a bit precise by pressing Alt and Shift in order to have something like this. Yeah, okay. Then I can add some light, for example, an environmental light here. Just uncheck the render of the skybox. So this is what I have. I can modify the color of the torus, so it's paper based. So if you want to modify the base color, you modify the albedo path, but you also have access to the metallic, roughness, normal, emissive, and occlusion. Then, if I want to have another kind of animations, because timelines are great to animate stuff, but it's not the only way to animate parameters in Smode, because you can, for example, select a parameter and create a loop on it. So if I want to have a loop on the Y rotation of my torus, like this, then creating a timeline or passing by a timeline is not the perfect tool, because I simply can right-click over a parameter and choose this option, create linear loop. And that's it. It makes my, it creates a loop. So the loop is this object. It creates a loop over the y-axis of the rotation of my torus. And you see, both animation can live together because here I can have my timeline playing and having my loops making his own life. So it's totally decorrelated. So you can organize your show between linear animation. So I like to describe timelines as linear animation and non-linear animation, meaning that here my torus is non-linear because it's a standalone loop and there is no time code associated. If you want to have this loop going a bit fast, here you have a multiplier of speed, so you can increase the speed and it will go it will go faster. You can also decrease the speed. Something very cool with this kind of animation is that you will be always frame perfect because it's automatically calculated and it's real time rendered. So you will be always frame perfect with this kind of animation. So let's put this object, the animation bank, inside the compo. So the animation bank, just to mention, it's just an object to organize the different loops in it. So I have created a loop over the rotation of my torus. My torus is inside this composition. So instead of having this animation in my show, I just clean my room and put this inside my compo. And I can rename this as compo torus. Okay. Let's remove those layers. Okay. I can have my uniform going to my entire content map. Okay, perfect. So I have two different layers here. I have my yellow and I have my torus. And here I have the opacity of my compositions with the torus. So I have speak about linear animation with main timeline, non-linear animation with the loops, but you need to know that you can also having interactivity created directly inside Smode. Because if, for example, you use something like this, so a MIDI controller, you can connect this MIDI controller through the Smode software. And it's quite easy to do. The only thing you have to do is to go to Edit, Preferences, then here in the Control Device category, create a new control device. So add a control device. You click on Add, and here in the list, you have the MIDI category, and your device is automatically detected. So in my case, it's the X-Touch Compact. I can select it and press Apply. Then, after that, I can close my preferences, and here double-click on the edge of the interface to go to the files, but you have another tab representing the devices. So here I can select this tab, and you see I have my Control 1 X-Touch Compact created in this category. And if ever I move a fader, I see that I have entry data that goes inside Smode, meaning that the connection is made. After that, it's very, very, very simple, because let's close this one. You select the parameters you want. Here, in my case, I want to have the control on the opacity of this composition. I right-click over the parameters I want and choose the Learn option. The Learn options pop this window, and the role of this window is to listen to the entry data connected to Smode. Meaning that if I move a fader like this, then the value is automatically detected, and it allows me to pick a value to be connected to the parameters I have selected. So I select this one, I press OK, and that's it. The connection is made. Here you see I can control the opacity of my torus. And you can control anything you want. Let's remove the colors on the timelines and go back in it. If I here go deeper in my colors, you see I have the hue of my color. I can also right click on it, pick Learn, move a fader, pick the data, press OK, and that's it. I control the hue of my uniform. I can play with two different buttons. Then you mix a bit what you want. If you want, also you can have something else. For example, let's have a new uniform. Okay, let's create a new uniform over the entire visuals. Let's put this uniform in blue. Okay, and then this blue uniform will go in my timeline, so I can control this as a block, just like in video editing. Let's say that this will be on this side, sorry, so 25 frame. let's change also the length of my timeline. So I want to have a timeline of 1 second. So I press 1, next a dot, it created 1 second timelines, and okay, perfect. So if I want to assign the play button of my timeline, I can also do the same thing. Right click on it, learn, press a button. Here I will select this value, the one that is evolving between true and false. Press OK, and OK. That's it. Every time I will press this button, the timeline will play. And after that, you can play a bit with what you want. So let's put this uniform over the other. So here you can play, you see, with the opacity and the creation of the activation of this blue uniform. That was for the very basic of Smode. It's a bit the role of content creation in Smode. So in our case, we have something to do with sound. So I can organize a bit my room. Let's put this those layer inside a group. So it's create a scene. Let's put the link inside this, and I will rename it my first scene. Okay, I can turn it off. Then everything is saved. I won't use it, or I will let you use it as you want on the creation. Let's import our sound. So I have transcoded inside Wave because it's a bit the same. If you use, if you want to use MP4, you have to transcode it in HAP. If you want to use MP3, you have to transcode it in Wave. So I have transcoded in Wave already in the project I will provide to you. So it's already made. I have simply to integrate it here. And you see, I have a play standalone option for this sound. So I can press play and the sound is automatically played. So this is my sound. If you want to have this sound going on the timeline, you simply has to drag and drop it to the make slave option, and that's it. You have your sound playing over the timelines. But in my case, I will just have it as a standalone player, so non-linear one. And I can explain you a bit the process I would personally use for this kind of exercise. So I'm going to create a composition. Inside these compositions, I can create, for example, a new layers. So let's create a shape layers with end side. It's very convenient because the end side creating automatically the shape I have created to determine the template. So it's convenient for me to do this. Then I can resize this shape. So I can press Alt plus Shift plus Control in order to have a better handle. So an equal handle over my shapes, going it like this, okay. And I can here going in renderer of my shape in order to say to my shape that I don't want to render the stroke and only the fill with this color, white. So I know you have colors to use, so you just can modify a bit the colors of the shape directly in its renderer. Then I can apply modifiers. So modifiers are a bit like postfix applied to different type of layers. In 2D layers, you can apply 2D modifiers. Over shapes, you can apply shapes modifiers. So in my case, I'm going to create a modifier called the stroke. The stroke allows me to transform my shape a bit like this and make some trace. So I can create a tracing animation like this. Okay, here you see you have the center, so I can right click over it and create a linear loop. Okay, let's increase a bit the speed. Let's have a background. So let's create a red uniform. I just want to create a background in order to have a better view of what I'm doing. So I see that my shape is not really perfect, but I do this very fast in order to explain you, so it's a bit normal. So let's rename this 01, turn it off. I'm going to create a new composition, and let's create another shape. So in my case here, I'm going to create Bezier, allowing me to draw the shapes I want in my canvas. So if I am on edit on, it means that I can create Bezier point in my viewport. So let's maintain Control on your keyboard to have access to the pen, and then create the shape. So I'm going to create a shape like this. Tac tac. Okay. So this is going to be the first one. Let's Control D to duplicate the shape, and I'm going to trace the edge. Something like this. So I won't be that clean because I want to be fast on the creations, but it's mostly for explaining you. Let's put this like this. Okay, up, up, up. Let's duplicate it. Put this here and here. Duplicate. Here. Okay. And the last one, like this. Okay, cool. Then I have all my shapes created. I select them all by maintaining Shift, and then right click over it and select Group Generators. It creates a group using the renderers. So it will use the same renderer, so the same color and the same stroke option between each other. So let's select this one. You can pick randomly what you want. Let's go in the renderer and say that I do not want to have the stroke. I just want to have the fill. And let's create a modifier over the group. The modifiers I will use is the fill color, allowing me to change the fill color of my shapes. But I can decide to be in uniform color, but also in a gradient. So it creates a gradient that is being applied over all the shape. So these gradient options are here. I can go in this mode because I do not want to have three tones. Begin color, intermediate color, end color, three tone. Let's go in B-tone here. And in advanced, so the advanced parameter allowing me to quantize my gradient. So my gradient is going to be or black or white, or a single color or another color. So let's go in the option of the fill color here, because you have a gradient, and this gradient needs to be applied over a specific geometry. So in my case, it's applied on the distance to edge. So it goes from the middle of each shape to its edges. Meaning that for each shape, the gradient is applied from the middle of them to the edges. But I can change its logic. For example, I have access to the along edge, and then it takes the first point and the second one and the third one and the fourth one and apply the gradient like this. Okay. So I can select this along edge option, and here you see you have the offset, and you can pick the loop of the offset to the effect. So I can have this kind of effect. So let's create again a linear loop over this, going very fast. Okay, cool. So I can press rename this composition as the second one. So I have a first compo, a second compo like this. I can create also something inside the middle or something that targets the entire the entire canvas. So let's create yeah, let's create a gradient. Let's have a linear gradient over it like this. So it targets everything and pick the colors of the week. So something like this. Okay, cool. If my gradient is here, I can have these compositions going in multiply over my gradient. So it creates this. I can also have this one in multiply too. Let's duplicate this one. So let's say yes on it. Put, on this case, my gradient in advance in quantize. So it's or black or white. Let's have something like this and say that maybe I can have a group that look like this. Duplicate this group, press yes, and let's try to, yeah, having this in this kind of shape. Okay, cool. Let's create a new one. What can I do? Let's try to duplicate this third composition. So in it, let's forget about this and change the position, like in x-axis, y-axis. Let's distance to edges. Oh, cool, distance to edges. Yeah, perfect. So I have 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4 compositions that can be mixed. So if I go back on my linear gradient here and put the first one or the second one or the third one or the fourth one over it, it creates different variations over my visuals. So maybe I can also having all those composition in normal. So yeah, okay. And having this gradient in another blending mode. So let's find, okay, vivid light is cool. Okay, cool. After that, the only thing I can do is connect each activations to a MIDI controller here. So I can right-click over this activation, choose the learn, press a button, so this one, for example, pick the value that is variate, so between the true and false here. And in my case, I will have in here Boolean actions. Instead of being in toggle, I will being in convert to, in order to have it activated at the moment I press, but at the moment I release the button, it will be deactivated. So if I press OK in these options, then here it's activated. At the moment I release, it's not activated, meaning that I can tap and use this button to start my compositions like this. And if I do the same with the second, so press learn, pick another button, this one, select the value between true and false, Boolean action, convert to, press OK. Then here you can play with two different visuals like this. So let's select these options. Third, true and false, convert to OK. And the last one, learn, convert to another button, true and false. Okay, so now I have 4 different buttons. I can trig and play with it. And after that, the main goal is to train yourselves to follow the music. So if I play to the music, I can really train myself to follow the music, but it needs training. But you see, that's a bit the process I will personally use for creating motion design directly in Smode, and like just like the professional way of content creation for live event. Well, I have to. I think it's enough to for today. I have to mention that if you do not want to use Smode for this challenge, it's not mandatory. You can use After Effects and export your video. You can convert your video directly inside Smode in HAP and having an idea of what is going to happen on the virtual stage. If you want to use Smode, if you are brave enough to start Smode with all the stuff I have shown you in this video, then do not hesitate at the moment when you share your video on Instagram to mention the hashtag #MadeWithSmode so we can know that you have used Smode for this challenge. There is two different prices for this week. You have the first prices, which is a professional version of Smode. This one is the free version, so it's for non-professional usage. But if you win this challenge, you win the Smode Compose versions. It's €300 per year, and you won 1 year of Smode Compose. It allows you to go up to HD in your content creation, up to HD in your stage design, and you have access to other features that are not accessible in the free version. For other winners, I will use each of your video in Instagram in order to broadcast it inside the simulation processor. So I will do an editing of your creations on this processor. So if you have create visuals, it will be then broadcasted in this processor, and we will share the video at the end of the contest. Well, I hope you enjoy this quick presentation of Smode, and I wish you the best for the contest.